Hi.
Good morning.
I was distracted.
It's okay. I was too. Episode 56.
56.
Isn't this a nice prop we have here? This little plant.
Except sometimes it's like it feels like it's about to poke me in the eye.
Oh,
and I know it's not. It's far away, but in my periph, I'm like distracted.
Should we do a new set at some point? It's like new props. You know what we should do? Every week we should have a new prop on the table and see if
and it's like what are those called? Easter eggs
Yeah.
in a movie, and you guys have to find it.
And we somehow connect all the episodes together. And if you do if you listen or watch every episode, that would require them to watch. You have to watch every episode.
Yeah.
And then you somehow make the connection and you win $1 million.
Yeah.
If you figure it out. That'll up our
There's
viewership.
Something to that. That is, yeah. I was gonna say we should take this to the streets.
Okay.
And do some sort of, I don't know, like interviewing in in someplace public. My watch keeps going off.
That's the worst.
Liberty Lake. Who in the?
I was at a brunch thing yesterday morning.
Yeah.
And my watch and my phone were constantly vibrating, like every minute, basically. And I usually in that situation would turn on Do Not Disturb, which I do all the time. But I had a dog sitter with Stevie, and so there's several things. I was in a group text, which was blowing up. I was getting messages from my dog sitter like every 2 minutes, like so many updates. I bet she sent me 30 pictures of Stevie within an hour. Period.
Wow.
Crazy. Which I appreciate the pictures and the updates, but it was like too much.
A bit much.
But same thing. I was like trying to be present and focused in this breakfast, but I kept getting all these dang notifications.
I mean, you're popular is the thing.
With my dog sitter.
Anyways, how are you?
I'm well. I have some updates for today.
I'm so excited.
Some wedding saga updates.
Oh, well, I wanted to start the conversation because we have not been talking as we started setting up our filming studio because we don't want to spoil anything.
Yeah, a little behind the scenes. It's a little awkward when we arrive to start filming. We don't want to talk about anything. We're
like, hi, what episode?
We can't say how was your weekend. No, we really can't say what's new with you.
We'll start to be like, what are you having? I'm like, I actually want to talk about it.
Yeah.
So don't talk now. We want this to be so authentic and genuine. We don't rehearse.
Totally.
Nor do we talk.
So behind the scenes, before it's a little awkward because we can't talk about anything.
Right.
And then after we've talked about everything. So there's nothing else to talk about unless there's a little bit of gossipy stuff that we're doing.
That's usually what it is.
That's usually what it is.
Okay. So last week I saw a new hormone doctor. So remember my saga where the guy was like,
the butt pellets?
Probably. Yep. I mean, I'm still going to do the pellets. That's not changing. But he was like, pushing for the Ozempic stuff. And I was like, you're rude. And I didn't say it. I thought it. And so now I'm just passive aggressively going to somebody new. And she was great. We sat in her office and chatted for an hour straight. And so her suggestion to me for my motivation of wanting to lose some weight was to do intermittent fasting.
Okay.
So what she said, I said, well, I usually start my morning with a protein shake. And I was like, what are your thoughts? And she said, well, if it's sweetened with, a monk fruit or some other type of sweetener that doesn't spike your blood sugar.
Okay.
That was her whole thing. If it's something that doesn't spike your blood sugar, then you should be okay. The other thing she mentioned is your calorie intake.
Okay.
So, and I feel better now that we're talking about this because you did share off camera that you've stopped intermittent fasting.
I did.
Okay. Yep. So I'm going to try to be pretty strict. So I have started, today's day 2.
Okay.
And I downloaded the app you told me about, Zero if you're looking to sponsor podcasts. I'm just kidding. And so yesterday was my first day where I started in the morning and I had in my coffee, I had what's a creamer called Nut Pods because their calories, it's only 10 calories per tablespoon.
Okay.
So if you do 2 tablespoons, it's 20 calories and it's natural things. It shouldn't spike my blood sugar.
Yeah.
I'm used to putting in half and half, which is a lot of calories. And so I had my first cup and then I waited. And the first fast, I only did the 13-hour one. Okay. I didn't do extreme. And then today I did the same thing with my Nut Pods. And it was I was getting to 13-hour. I think I got to 14-hour. And I was like, okay, now I'm going to have an actual cup of coffee with half and half.
Okay.
And right as I went to the app to go stop my fast, it went into this mode where it said fat burning. And it was a new thing.
Oh, because you reached a milestone and now it's saying keep going.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so then I looked at the phone and I was like, So I was like, I don't want to stop my fast now.
Yeah.
So I just did another hour.
Okay.
And then I had a cup of coffee, and now I'm going to have a protein shake.
Okay.
And then
you're done with your fast now.
Well, technically. So this is my thing. I'm like, in my head, I'm like, the way I'm planning to break my fast is with a cup of coffee that has half and half.
Okay.
And then my first meal is going to be a protein shake.
Okay.
And then I'll have, lunch and whatever, dinner later. So I'll try to get everything done in a shorter amount of time if I can. Try to eat an earlier meal and all that. It is a little bit tricky. I'm curious how you guys did this with like at home. Were you like, Brian, we got to eat before 6?
Yes.
Or you were telling me
because he makes the food in our household. And there are a
right.
couple times where I'm like, we gotta come on,
yeah,
get home. Or there are a couple
You
times where he actually, I wouldn't wait. I would find something for myself because he was gonna get home like at 8:30.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can't wait till 8:30 to eat. So
can we unpack that just a little bit about him cooking?
Yeah.
Like, do you do any of the cooking?
Typically not. I mean, I will help a little bit sometimes.
Do
with
you
some
help
prep.
meal plan?
Help me meal plan, yeah.
Okay.
So usually on Sundays, in the morning, we'll plan out our meals for the week. We'll put our grocery list.
Okay.
I usually do the grocery shopping.
Right.
And then he usually cooks and I clean up from dinner.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you guys try new things? Like, does he like to explore recipes and try new meals?
We do sometimes. Yeah, we definitely get into like a little bit of a rut sometimes, doing the same thing over and over again. But then every once in a while, we'll introduce something new, and that becomes a new staple thing.
Yeah.
And it also depends on like our fit goals. Like we're definitely both trying to like cut a little bit right now, so doing pretty strict like chicken and
veg,
broccoli and like boring meals. But they're good if you season chicken right, it can be great.
100%.
What were the parameters that your doctor gave you for the like calorie intake? What did she say that you need to stick under to be fasted?
She didn't tell me that. Okay. But for some reason in my head, I had less than 20 calories. I don't know why.
Okay.
But I'm like, did she tell me that, or did I just make that up because of my nut pods?
That's like nothing. That's your nut pods.
Yeah. It might have been that. She might have said that.
So you're doing 13 hours, and then are you going to work up to like, is that the goal for the month?
To it. Okay. Yeah. So, and it's so mental. It's wild. Yeah. Like it is literally, and this is just indicative of my brain. It's just when I can't have something.
Yeah.
It is torture.
Totally. Yeah.
In my brain. Yeah. Just even like working out, like it's like I want to stop, but I know I can keep going. It's like I'm mentally stopping myself, even though physically I'm like, no, you can keep doing this. Like you're not going to die, but I want to stop. I want to eat something.
Yeah.
I want, it's really odd.
I think what I found for me was the main like benefit of intermittent fasting.
Yeah.
Wasn't so much the restrictiveness in the morning.
Yeah.
But more so like in the evening, as soon as I start my fast, I'm done eating.
Right.
So it's like psychological. Like there's no more snacking, no more going back for a dessert or something.
Yeah.
Like as soon as I start fast, I know that I'm done eating for the day.
Yeah.
And I want to go as early as possible so that the next morning I can eat earlier. So it's all about the evening for me.
Totally. And like sometimes on Sundays, we just get to the end of Sunday and we're like, cannot be bothered to make a meal. So everybody like fends for themselves. So literally my dinner last night, don't judge me, was a glass of red wine and a bowl of popcorn.
Nice. Love it.
And I was like, okay, this is not great. And I opened the bottle of wine on Friday. So by Sunday, it wasn't great. And I took a few sips and I ended up dumping it. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to start now. I'm gonna start my fast now. So I was able to, but it's hard because we also like, I know our lives and like we will go to trivia with our friends this week and we'll be eating and drinking probably at 8 p.m. It's like those things happen. So I don't know. I'm gonna have to figure that out. But this is day 2 for me. So it's all fresh. And I will say equally the mental part, the same reaction when I see that I'm in a fat burning state. And now I'm like, oh, okay, I'm going to keep going. It's like, then there's a little mental thing there. So anyways,
I think something's better than nothing. You're being intentional about your diet, which is like, that's great.
Yes. Yeah. So how did you feel after intermittent fasting? That was just for the month of February.
Yeah.
Were you?
I didn't have any crazy results or anything, but I also like I don't know. I'm pretty steady. Like I in general, like will have a few days a week where I am very disciplined and I eat pretty healthy. And then a few days a week where I don't eat crazy, but I'll like, I had chicken and waffles for breakfast yesterday, like, which was delicious.
Yeah.
So I don't know. And I'm like overall, like I don't love how I look right now, but I'm like also kind of content with how I look. And I know that I have my Ironman training coming up, starting, and I know that is going to help me a lot. Like last time when I was training for the half Ironman, I was more confident about how I look than I've ever been in my life. So I'm also like in this little season right now where I'm like, I know that that's coming. So I'm just kind of okay not doing a crazy restrictive thing. Yeah. So
yeah, totally. Okay.
Okay, well, I have a couple things to check on actually.
Oh, okay.
Did you stop by a Redbox by chance?
Golly, I had such big plans to go to Redbox and to Oceans 5 this weekend, and I never did.
Didn't happen. Okay, I'll leave it on the list for next time.
What do you call that? To be determined? No.
TBD.
TBD?
To be continued? TBC?
TBC.
Either way, okay. They both work. That was the main thing I actually want to check on. So
sorry. I even was like telling Allie, let's take some friends and go play laser tag this weekend. And then I never did. I really was going to try to.
Christy Nicole had a good idea in our comments. She sounded off and she said we should those Redbox machines should be repurposed for like kind of a vending machine type thing with like where you can get like, I don't remember what she said. I think she said like socks. No, she had some ideas. I don't remember exactly what it was, but like I would love
to hear if it was socks.
A fun, I think that was one of the things. Kind of a fun, a vending machine full of fun items that you can purchase.
Okay.
So
interesting.
But if it's sitting right outside of a Walgreens, like you might as well just go inside the Walgreens. You'd have to have stuff that's unique to that machine.
Right.
So I also don't know who owns those machines.
Yeah,
there's a lot of details to figure. It's not a project I'm going to pursue right now, but feel free to take this up. Take Chrissy's idea. You guys can work together.
I'd really love to push this out to the fans as well. Like if anybody's listening and they want to go test the Redbox and let us know.
Leave a comment. Yeah, that's some field work.
Austin will pay you $1 million.
If you pay attention to the clues in these episodes. Cool. How was your weekend / let's start with Friday. Yeah.
Okay. Friday was actually a really great day. I was writing some notes this morning, like, what did I do? And so Friday morning, I'm just going to go Friday morning because that's when my weekend really started.
All right.
I had Jessica from our team over in Shannon and we did a group tonal.
Who's that?
Workout.
Who's the second one?
You've heard of her. You know her. She's your best friend.
Everybody knows her.
We did a group tonal workout. Okay. This is the first time we've done this where we've utilized the tonal with partners.
Okay.
So, and it was actually, I feel like if I do this again, I know exactly how to do it. Because what they do is like, if it was me, it would be like, okay, so you're doing bicep curls and then you're doing like deadlifts or something. And then what it does when you have partners, it'd be like, okay, Jamie's profile, then it's Austin's profile, and it's Chad's profile. And so in between, we would do like lunges, or we had my walking pad out, and so we would kind of, in between the set, we would do something else on the side.
So you're doing like a circuit. Each person's doing something different. Okay, because you only have one set of equipment.
Exactly.
Basically. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but what was nice, the tonal, like everybody got to use the tonal and rotated through, and they each had their profile. So it's like logging their weight and all that,
That's
or
cool.
their how much weight they're lifting. So that was actually really fun. And then Friday midday, I got to go to lunch with my friend Denise. We went to Nordstrom Cafe and I did like the classic girl lunch of salad and fries.
Nice. Salad and fries. Is that a girl lunch?
That's a girl lunch.
I've never heard that.
Oh my gosh. It's like one of my favorite things.
That's awesome. Salad, fries, and a Diet Coke. Love it.
Mm-hmm. And then Friday. Okay, so then Friday.
I like Nordstrom Cafe.
I really do.
It's a good spot.
I love their food.
Feels kind of like bougie up there too, and like yeah, it's a good spot.
It's really yummy. And then okay, we've been having some things. I don't think I shared this the last episode. Maybe I did to you off camera. Just Allie just trying to feel like what's the right move for her next year.
Yeah.
Did I tell you about this? And how she's like questioning about going to her school.
Yep.
Oh yeah, because you
told me at the Brokers Open.
That's right. So she's been kind of struggling with like who her friends are right now, with knowing so many are leaving and going to a different high school. And then some of the friends
she's in eighth grade.
She's in 8th grade. Okay. Yeah. So next year's her freshman year. Some of her friends this year, there's just, she gets like close to one group and then close to a different group and close to one person and and it's just kind of like, there's not like one staple group or person, which is also okay. Like I grew up with like 2 best friends since the 1st grade.
Yeah.
And so I have to remind myself like, that might not be her journey.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
At the same time, I'm very like adamant that my job as a mom in this season is to help foster relationships for her. She can't drive herself. You don't naturally know how to communicate with people. So it's like, I'm trying to have conversations of like, how are you pursuing your friends? When there's a conversation, like, how are you? Because with us at home, she can be very, like, she can be very argumentative is like a kind way of putting it.
Okay.
And so Chad and I like worry like, well, maybe that's coming across at school. And so there's like something about how she's interacting with people that's creating some tension or whatever. Anyways, blah, blah, blah. So last week, the whole week, I was like, okay, let's make some plans for Friday. You can invite some friends over. We can go to Ocean's 5. We can play laser tag. But I want you to think about who you want to invite and make a plan. All week, every day I pick her up from school. So any developments, like who did you talk to? And she's like, oh, maybe this one, maybe that one, but they're not really sure. And I'm like, okay. Meanwhile, I was invited to a birthday party. I had somebody talk about going to this golf thing. Doesn't really matter. I was building up resentment because I'm like, I need you to make plans because I'm having people make plans for me and I'm having to say, no, I can't.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I was like, all of my life is up in the air because I'm trying to help create a thing for you.
Yeah.
So anyways, it's a little bit dramatic, but she landed on her one friend who she's been really close with this year. And recently they just had some distance between them. So that girl came over and then Pipey had a friend come over, Vivian, who's Carrie's daughter. So they each had a friend.
Carrie and Blue.
Of Carrie and Blue, of the Best Western in Gig Harbor. So they each had a friend after school and we were kind of plans up in the air. It's such a nice day that I was like,
beautiful.
I feel like we need to be outside.
Fall spring.
False. So false. Woke up this morning, I was like, you lied. And so another thing, I'm jumping all over, but Pipes and Vivian signed up to do volleyball at school.
Nice.
So I was like, well, let's go to Target. We're going to buy a volleyball. We'll get some Starbucks and we'll go home and play outside with your new volleyball.
Nice.
Allie's friend Nicola, who is coming home with us, plays volleyball as well. So I was like, I'm sure she'll enjoy playing with the girls. So we do that. And it's just funny. Like, it's like, I would be so curious if I had boys, what my life would be like. But it's hilarious to like raise girls and like, they're just the girliest girls. Like they spent most of their time in Target in the skincare area, trying out all the perfumes, getting their little Starbucks drinks. And then we come home and everybody's kind of happy just hanging out and being at home for a bit. So I invited Carrie to come over, Vivian's mom, and she and I sit down on the deck and we are just hanging out while the sun is like glorious outside. Yeah. And then Carrie's like, well, I'll take the littles back to my house and you can hang on to Nicola and Allie. So I ended up taking Nicola and Allie to Gig Harbor and we went to dinner at Blazing Onion, which is a little burger place. I can't tell you if I've been there before or not. But again, the similar meal to what I had before. We all ordered like fries, salad, and a burger and kind of shared it.
Nice.
What was great was like this whole week leading up to this, I've been like doubting Allie's ability with like communication and how she's pursuing people and just worrying like there's something going on with her, which is resulting in why she's not feeling connected to other people and all this. And the whole time I was with her and Nicola, I just got to observe like her being herself. And she communicates so beautifully and like so kindly. And like, I know that's not how it is 100% of the time. Like she's not perfect, but it really reassured me of like, okay, I need to trust her a little bit more than I have. I had been like doubting she was even making plans and doubting like all these things and holding it against her that people were asking me to do stuff and I was saying no because I'm waiting for her, you know. And so it was just really, really sweet. And I got to hear like all the inside scoop of like the middle school drama and all the boys and all this stuff. And even like going out to eat, it was like there was some, you know, teenage boys at the restaurant or whatever, and you could see them like talk and giggle to each other. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's just such a sweet season.
Yeah.
So I think a couple episodes, maybe in last week, I was sharing how like parenting is so hard, and it is. It really is hard. But there's also these really sweet moments, and there's moments that I love where I'm reminded that my kids are actually better than I give them credit for it. That, you know, like I don't know. Maybe this is on me, but I tend to like doubt in their abilities, and then they prove me wrong, and it's like the best thing. So
there's also something as a kid of when you're with your parents, you act differently than when you're with anybody else. So you're seeing Allie and Piper when they're with you.
Right.
You're not always seeing them when they're out in the world.
I know, and it's terrifying.
And it's even like myself. Like I myself am a little bit different around my parents. I think as I get older, it's less and less. But in college, I remember I was like, I was sent off to college, I was living by myself for the first time, and anytime I'd come home, I'd like feels kind of anxious. I'm like, I don't live at home anymore. Like, and I was probably rude to my parents at certain points, and it's like we're just as a child, you treat your parents differently than you do the rest of the world. So
it's so true. Like,
and friendships are hard. Like friendships are hard. Like relationships are hard. I was having some conversations this weekend with Brian, and we're like, friendships can be hard sometimes.
Yes.
Like it's like sometimes you feel like who your people are, and sometimes you feel like you're on the outs and you're like not getting invited to things that other people are doing. Like that's not a good feeling. Like that's something that goes on forever. Little White Lotus thing. There's this. You're not watching it.
No,
I'm sorry.
I wanted to.
I'm sorry. You're trying to talk, but
no.
That's a big thing in White Lotus. There's this group of 3 girls, and it's like they're childhood friends, but you can tell there's just so much like tension between them because of past resentments and stuff. So like friendships are hard.
They're so hard. And I had a thought and it totally left my brain. Something with Allie and friendships in particular. Okay, this is what it was I was talking to my dad about this because in my brain we go to school and we go to church, and it's connected. So for Allie's group of friendships, it's one location.
Right.
It's not like we go to one school and we go to a different church, and there's groups at both places that she can connect with. There are a few kids that come to church that maybe don't go to LCA, but the main crew that she hangs out with is at both. So if she doesn't feel connected to that, she's not connected, is how it feels. So I had kind of been talking to her a little bit about like, other options for things. But then in my head, I'm like, okay, my fear is that all these kids do stuff together all the time. And now with cell phones, we're constantly connected. We're constantly talking to each other, and there's group messages and there's all these things going on. And I worry because Allie has a phone, but she does not engage in the group messages very much. I check her phone just to be a safe parent and I'm not like trying to snoop, but I'm making sure there's nothing inappropriate. And there's tons of times where there's all these messages and she is not jumped in at all. And I worry that like she's not communicating well, again, going back to my fear of like, how are you communicating with people? And I was telling my dad about it, and he's like, it's so funny because you're like basically saying you want her on her phone more. Like you want her to be using that. But I'm like, I know it sounds awful, and I don't want that to be the case. I don't want her to be like so obsessed with her phone and worried about getting back to every single message. But at the same time, I can't help but worry like maybe she's missing out on things because she's not engaging there. So I don't know. It's a little bit of a dilemma of like, how do you navigate that? And as a parent, how do I encourage her, but also set healthy boundaries?
Where do you, even it's also like, where do you chime in and where do you not? I'm sure that's a big question.
Well, and this is so the other night I like kind of lost it. Like I got frustrated at her, and bless her heart, it's like, it's such, like you immediately know as a mom, like, okay, that was bad. I should not have done that. It's like, I had all of this stuff in my head of like, she's not talking to people. She's not making solid plans. She's like, the way she's communicating ideas for this weekend are very loose and not set in stone. So nobody realizes what she's really wanting to do. So I just assume all this and like blow up at her about it. And then the next day is when she's with her friend and I hear her talking to her friend, and everything's fine. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm the problem. It's me. So anyways, Chad was around.
We're chatting all this.
He was on call this last week, which is such a pain. And so he was like, you go do stuff with the girls. He got himself a steak. By the time I got home, he was already in bed. Like I didn't even see him on Friday.
That's awesome.
So that was a very long-winded recap of my Friday.
Sounds like a intense little bit of a Friday.
I think I just needed to vent that.
It sounds like fun. It sounds like you had a good time, but like in the background, you had a lot of stuff going on.
Also, I need you to know, like, there's times where it's like my brain is going 1,000 like miles a minute, and you're the first person to capture it.
That's why it's our Monday morning therapy session.
So you get the brunt end of these thoughts.
That's great.
Okay, here we go.
Okay.
How about you?
Friday night, went to dinner with Chad and Cecily at Bottle and Bowl was the name of the restaurant in downtown Kirkland.
Bottle and Bowl.
Bottle and Bowl. Have you spent any time in downtown Kirkland?
I can't say that I have.
It's cool. It's a great little area on the waterfront. We got dinner and then we got ice cream. Kind of a funny conversation after dinner. So we were walking around Kirkland, and I've always known that I really liked Kirkland.
Yeah.
But like in the last, I don't know, earlier in my I'm 30 now. Earlier in my 20s, I remember thinking and saying, Kirkland's great, but there's just not a lot going on. Like, it doesn't feel like it's kind of a little bit sleepy, whatever. Yeah. And I was saying when we were walking around after dinner, I was like, I used to feel that way, but now I kind of feel like there's more stuff happening, and like it feels like there's more businesses opening, and like it feels like a cooler vibe now. Nice. And Cecily's like, I think it's just because you're older. Which is right. She's absolutely correct. It actually
hasn't changed.
It hasn't really changed. I mean, there's like a couple new businesses, restaurants have gone in, but it really hasn't changed. Yeah. I've changed. Yeah. In that the what I'm looking for in a neighborhood is different than it was 5 to 7 years ago.
Right.
So I thought
that's hilarious.
Yeah. She called me out right on the spot. I'm like, you were totally right. Yeah. Like, this hasn't changed. I have.
Yeah. It's me.
It's me. Yeah. So that was cool.
What restaurant was this? Bottle and
Kind
Bowl.
of a swanky cocktail bar.
You're saying bowl, B-U-L-L.
Yes.
Oh, I heard bowl, B-O-W-L.
Oh, no.
And I was thinking like a Asian fusion.
No, it's more like it's like Italian fusion sort of. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, it was good.
Nice.
That was that. We got dinner with them and then went home, watched the last episode of Severance, got caught up there.
Is it done?
I'm caught up. No, it's not done.
Okay.
And you said you're not watching Severance.
Well, remember I was like, I had gotten really into season 1.
Okay.
And then I started the first episode of season 2, and for some reason or another, I just like couldn't.
You should give it a shot.
I will.
The most recent episode 7, was like very good.
Okay.
Like there's still obviously unanswered questions, but there's a lot of.
Okay.
It told you a lot.
Yeah, I feel like there's a week coming up where Chad is going to Bandon Dunes, like a guy's golf trip, and I am gonna like Severance hard.
Yeah,
because he just like he's not into it, and so it's hard to watch shows around him where he's not even knowing what's going on. Yeah.
Cool. So watch Severance, and then watch the first episode of White Lotus on Friday night, and then we watched the second episode Saturday night, and then we watched the third episode last night. Yeah. So we are officially caught up on Severance, on White Lotus, on Survivor, and I'm caught up on Paradise. So my 4 shows I'm watching right now.
Successful week.
Caught up.
Yeah.
Super successful.
I'm loving Paradise.
Productive. So good. The most recent episode was where they showed what happened like the day it all went down, right? Oh my gosh, so good.
I've seen all these things on like social media. Is it James Madsen? Is that the
Marsden?
Yeah. Okay. Anyways, he had one. He's like, hey guys, just a reminder, that's just an episode. It wasn't real life.
Yeah. It's pretty intense.
It is.
In the White House Oval Office, like it's intense.
I know. The janitor.
And the lady. There's a lot. It's a lot. It's sad. So that was Friday night. Great start to the weekend.
Yeah.
How was your Saturday?
Okay, Saturday, I feel like we had the best start to our Saturday. Chad and I did a tonal workout together.
Okay.
And then we went for a couple mile walk with Stella.
Love it.
And then we went and saunaed. We spent like the whole morning to ourselves.
That's
like,
an active morning.
Around.
Okay.
We were doing our own thing. And then we made the worst decision possible, and we decided to go to Costco midday on a Saturday.
Telling you.
But it was actually pretty successful. There was a bunch of samples, so the girls were happy.
I have a love-hate relationship with Costco. I love Costco, but I get so much anxiety being there because there's so many people.
It actually wasn't too bad. Chad had a really good perspective. He's like, listen, we've got no plans today. We're in no rush. Even if it takes a long time, like, let's just embrace it.
Yeah.
Let's plan some fun meals. And like, he was very like, good perspective.
And it was beautiful out. There's something about going to the store when it's nice out, walking in, you're all warm, pushing your car. I don't know. It's a vibe.
Yeah. So we did that, and then I think we just chilled for a little bit. We ended up doing pickleball as a family Saturday afternoon.
Outside?
Yeah. We went outside, and so today I was like, I can't wait to tell Austin that I was like playing pickleball, and I was playing really well. Like at one point we were all playing as a family, and then it was just me and Chad.
Okay.
And I was like, oh my gosh, I am like toe to toe with him. So and then I had this thought of like, was he going easy on me? So I called him on my way here, and I was like, hey, just a quick question. When we played pickleball on Saturday, were you going easy on me or was I actually that good? And he's like, I played the entire game with my left hand.
No way.
Austin. I was like,
that's hilarious.
And the worst part was he still won. We were playing and I was like, oh my gosh, this is going so well. And we got to like, we were like really like taking forever to even score. And I think we were at like 5-5 and I was like, okay, 1st to 6. And then it was like 6-5. And then okay, you have to win by 2. And it was like 6-6. Okay,
yeah.
7-6. Okay, 7-7. I think we got up to finally 8-6 or whatever it was. And he did win. So
with his left hand. That's crazy.
His left hand. And I was like,
and he's not ambidextrous. He's right-handed.
Yeah. Yeah. That's not like, no.
It's not a normal thing.
Correct.
He doesn't golf with his left hand.
Oh, no. This man is, right hand dominant.
Through and through.
So he was like, you have to remember I was a professional athlete. And like, I was like, okay. Well, I was like, my confidence was like, this gave me false confidence.
Yeah.
I was like, I almost went to pickleball at work today because I felt like I'm doing so good.
Yeah.
I was just too tired.
If you want to bring him down a couple notches, I would love to play Chad.
Okay.
One-on-one. I think I'm getting pretty good at pickleball.
That's a challenge.
It's on. And you can play with your right hand.
Yeah, that was a little hurtful. I'm not going to lie. I'm like, it still stung today as I'm sitting.
Would you rather that he lied to you?
No, I was really hoping he was going to be like, no, Levy, I was playing. That was me genuinely putting it all on the court. And you were really good.
Right.
Instead, he laughed in my face and said he played with his left hand and reminder that he's an athlete. Those were the 3 points he made in the conversation.
Yeah, that's tough.
Guess who's not speaking right now?
Well, you're on, Chatterskin.
Yeah.
See you on the court.
I'm trying to remember the rest of Saturday. Oh, okay. Saturday night, we watched a horrible movie called The Turning, or something like that. I was like, oh, this is like a fun mystery thriller.
Yeah.
It's like this girl goes to nanny for this little girl, and it's like at this huge estate. And they're alluding to like something weird happened to her first nanny and their parents have passed away. And then like the girl's brother comes home and he's very mischievous and you feel like he's like causing things to happen. It just was, I thought, oh, there's going to be this fun, like, oh, maybe there's like a ghost thing happening here. Maybe the brother is causing things. It ended in a way that made zero sense. It ended with like something so abrupt that I like rewound and was like, oh, we missed something. Like it cut off before the ending. How it ended was so abrupt and so weird.
Oh, that's a bummer.
So can't recommend. And it's an hour and a half, 2 hours. I
never get back.
Yeah.
That's the worst. I'm sorry.
I know. So anyways, that was my Saturday night.
You said The Gorge is a good movie, right?
I did like
it. Okay, I need to watch that. It's on. I keep seeing it pop up. I need to watch that.
Okay,
Saturday. Okay, this is where the wedding saga begins.
Okay.
I'm gonna try to keep this somewhat condensed, but okay. So I don't even remember where we were at last week when we talked, but basically,
can I remind you?
Please, yes.
You had signed the contract,
okay,
but you were waiting to put down a deposit,
right?
And that's where we were.
Okay, so at this point, and prior to like let's say 3 days ago, we had the contract signed, still waiting on the deposit.
Right.
We have our caterer figured out. We have our photographer booked. We have our welcome party. We have a lot of details figured out. We have our invites created.
Okay.
Our plan for this weekend was to meet with our parents on Saturday, finalize some details, and then send invites out like this weekend, like Sunday.
Yeah.
Not what happened. So basically, towards the end of last week, the owner of the property called me and he said, hey, we're having some issues. What you were planning on doing the property where you have over 100 people at the venue 2 days in a row, we can no longer guarantee that. He said anytime you have more than 40 people, I have to get a permit for the property. And I can't guarantee I'll be able to get 2 permits 2 days in a row. So he's like, if you still want to move forward, you can, but I can only guarantee that you'll be able to get 1 day with over 100 people. And then all the other days will only be up to 40 people. So he basically kind of warned that like Wednesday, Thursday, and then Friday, he called me again and confirmed that. He's like, I'm just letting you know, like that is still where we stand, and unfortunately, like I can't do anything about it.
Okay.
So from that information, Brian and I talked, and we're like, okay, we probably we probably should just not move forward with this venue. We should probably find something else.
Okay.
So that was our thought process Friday night.
Yeah.
Saturday morning, we meet with our parents.
Yeah.
We had texted them on Friday, like, this is the update we just got. We're super disappointed, but like, let's still get together tomorrow. We can at least like finalize the guest list and we can kind of talk about other venue options. Yeah. And so we meet with our parents. We're at a coffee shop like a mile from our house. Nice. It was great. We're at Stevie. And we're talking to them for probably over an hour. And ultimately we're talking through the venue that we've been working with. So the one that we really like, the one that we've been planning around, and we're like, should we just try to make it work? Like, should we just, we have so many details figured out. Like, it's still a beautiful venue. We're super excited about it. Like, if we can only end up having over 100 people one day, like, we can make it work. Yeah. And we can still apply for that second day. And there's still a chance we get the second day. So we have this conversation. We're like, okay, let's not go back to the drawing board. Let's stick with this venue. Okay. Let's make it work. Yeah. I call the guy. He doesn't answer. Whatever. We continue our conversation. Right. He calls me back. Apparently, Saturday morning, he receives like a 40-page letter from the city of Indio saying all these venues in the area, there's like a lawsuit happening where one of the residents in the city has sued one of the neighboring venues properties because of like consistently going over their occupancy limits and like being a noise nuisance and all this stuff.
What a little tattletailer.
So there's a lawsuit happening, and because of that, the city of Indio is like completely cracking down on all events that happen. So he said basically this 40-page document he received says that as a venue, he can only be approved for up to 18 events per year over his occupancy, which is 40 people. So he's a wedding venue that does probably 40 to 50 weddings a year, and he's being told by the city you can only do 18 a year. Wow. Now. So he gets this letter Saturday morning. I'm talking to him Saturday at like noon. Yeah. And he's like, he was venting to me. He was I'm like, I was trying to get off the phone once he told me that, and he was like talking to me. He's probably talking to me for like 30 minutes. I'm like, okay, wow, I gotta go. But so that's where he's at. And so he's like, first of all, I'm not booking any weddings right now. Like, while there's all this uncertainty, like, you can book the property for 40 people, but I'm not doing any weddings for the foreseeable future. So, and then he's like, secondly, I'm going to have to cancel a lot of the weddings that are booked right now because I have way more than 18 weddings booked right now. So, one, we're grateful that we're not one of the weddings that were already booked, like that have all of our eggs in this basket.
You hadn't put a deposit down yet.
Haven't put a deposit down. Okay. Haven't sent out invites. So we're like, my word. We caught it early enough. Yeah. But so basically at this point, like, he's not even doing booking weddings. No. He said he has a meeting tomorrow on Tuesday that he's going to where he's going to get some clarity. Yeah. He'll call me back on Wednesday and let me know like if anything changed. But he's like, most likely I can't book any weddings right now. So
what's worrying is if he can't, the other venues you've toured are getting the same letter, most likely, right?
Yeah. So we're basically not looking at Indio anymore, which is where this is at. Okay. So we are kind of back to the drawing board, back to square one. We spent probably 3 hours on Saturday evening, like reaching out to a ton of other venues, kind of back to like information gathering stage. We're probably going to have to go back again to Palm Springs, which is, whatever. There could be worse things.
There could be.
Fine.
I will go with you.
So we probably have to tour more places, but we're literally like, back to square one.
I mean, that's bananas.
Yeah.
Because
very annoying.
And what a roller coaster.
Yeah.
Because you could have done your wedding day at that venue if he had allowed the 100 plus,
right?
And had that, and then maybe done some other things around.
We were starting to brainstorm how we could do it.
Be creative.
We would make it work. And
I know the dream is to have like a multi-day event, but I could have seen, and then to be told like, no, not.
So we like literally went from super excited about this venue to on Friday being like, okay, we're not gonna do this venue anymore, to Saturday morning being like, okay, let's do this venue, to Saturday at noon be like, we can't do this venue, to currently there's still some chance we could do this venue, like based on the meeting tomorrow, like maybe that whole 18 thing wouldn't apply to, I don't know. He's basically like, I'll call you back on Wednesday to verify like what we're able to do, but even then it's like, he wouldn't actually apply for the permit until like May, I think, because that's 6 months before.
Okay.
So then it's just like, I don't know. There's so much up in the air. We're not banking on this venue anymore. We're going back to we do most likely want to stay in Palm Springs, that area. Like even in our conversation, we're like, all right, do we just like totally start over? Like, should we look at Arizona? Should we look at other areas of California? Should we look at Washington? Should we look at Mexico? Like we kind of like went all the way back there, but then we're like, we've already narrowed it down to Palm Springs. Like, we love that area. Let's find something there that'll work. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Man.
That's where we're at.
I'm excited for next week.
Oh my gosh. I just am so ready to I'm so ready. I actually had there's a weird dream I haven't even told Brian about. Brian, I'm sorry. I forgot to tell you. I left the house before he woke up this morning. I had a dream last night. My like elementary school crush, her name was Morgan. And I had a dream last night that we were getting married, me and Morgan. And oh my gosh, it was the weirdest dream where it was like some alternate reality where people can like transition into like their childhood self. So here's what happened.
I love this.
I was getting married, so I was supposed to be getting married to adult Morgan.
Yeah.
But who shows up to the ceremony is like child Morgan, like her as a child.
Oh yeah.
And I'm not remembering all the details, but it was the weirdest wedding. Nobody else thought it was weird that it was child her.
Totally normal.
Everybody else thought it was normal.
Fine.
But then like I couldn't find it. Was the weirdest, one of the weirdest dreams I've ever had. So clearly this wedding planning is stressing me out. It's getting to me.
I wonder how Morgan popped into your brain.
No, I haven't thought about her, and no offense to Morgan, you haven't crossed my mind in a long time. If she listened to this podcast, that'd be amazing.
So funny.
Anyway, so that was a dream I had based on all this wedding stress.
I mean,
yeah. So
what a wild ride.
So currently I'm waiting to hear back from that guy, and we literally reached out to probably 20 hotels and venues on Saturday. So now I'm just going to start waiting on all their responses and start gathering information around costs and stuff. And the main issue is that most hotels, which we want to do it at like a hotel, like a boutique hotel, most of them have this crazy catering minimum that they require.
I remember you saying that.
Of like $30,000 is their minimum spend on food and drink, which we're not going to spend that much. So we are hoping to find like a boutique hotel that can sleep up to like 100 people.
Yeah.
That doesn't have a catering minimum. That's what we're looking for. So.
Okay. I just had this thought. Remember how you were like, this year, one of your goals is to like monetize your social media.
Yeah.
Have you attempted to be like, listen, I'm a PNW influencer.
Right. Yeah.
And if you give me half the cost for your catering,
interesting,
I'm going to blow up this place on social media.
Yeah.
And you guys were going to have a ton of.
That's a great idea. I should mention that as I'm reaching out to these venues is like we have a little bit of a following on social media, and we'd be happy to like do some promo of your venue in exchange for a discount or something.
And like just tell them like I'm doing this for another. They offered me 50% off their catering at this other place.
Yeah, that is a great idea actually.
If you want to match it, we will consider.
Yeah, great idea. I love that. I'm actually gonna do that.
Okay. Do it.
Okay, so that was a lot of our Saturday was on wedding stuff.
It
was great seeing our parents. My parents came up from Lakewood. Brian's parents came down from Bothell.
Fun.
We had a really nice time at this coffee shop.
Nice.
Went on a walk with my parents and Stevie to the little trail by our house. And then we were looking for somewhere to go to lunch and couldn't find anywhere dog friendly.
Oh.
So we went back to the same coffee shop from earlier, got lunch there. So a little bit back
and
forth.
Coffee shop that they let doggies in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a coffee shop in Renton. It's very close to our house, like less than a mile. So
yeah,
it was great.
Awesome.
I ended up going to West Seattle for a showing for a client, and I'm writing an offer for them today.
Congratulations.
And then watched some TV that night. That was Saturday.
Nice. Yeah. That sounds great. Okay, Sunday. Let's wrap it up. Sunday was a little bit boring in my household. We were kind of chill in the morning. I worked in our nursery, and then we went to the service after. So we were at church from like 10 until 1. And after that, we went to lunch with my parents. Went to Nari. It's a sushi restaurant in University Place.
Love it.
And really good. By the time I got home, it was like 3:00, and I just wanted to veg. Like I don't think I really left the couch much the rest of the day.
That's awesome.
Except for my wine and popcorn.
Yeah.
I started watching Alone Australia. So it's Survivor show, but it's set in Australia.
Yep.
And for some reason, I know I say this like every other episode about the survivalist shows and me being weird about it. it's such a soothing show for me to watch. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's how they edit it. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
But for some reason, I get consumed by it. And I just sit there and can just really get into these people surviving on their own.
I've never watched Alone. I should check that out.
I don't know. I mean, I've heard people like joking about like things like the Great British Bake Off or whatever having some sort of like calming effect on them. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
But Alone is very like calming to me. Even though people are in like really
they're struggling to survive. Maybe it's because you're in your warm home.
Brain. Yeah.
You're on your couch.
I'm the opposite of this. I have food in my fridge.
Yeah. It makes you feel grateful for your current environment.
Yeah. It's such a fascinating concept. Yeah. Anyways. That was, and then, really nothing else. Chad was doing yard work around the house and the girls kind of had their own thing going on yesterday afternoon. So, really pretty blasé day.
Nice.
Yeah.
Blasé. I don't think I've heard you use that. I like it. My son and we went to the gym. We did brunch with friends.
Nice.
So went to Green Lake for brunch.
Okay.
And so it was with Chad and Cecily again. Got to see them twice in the weekend, which is great.
Yeah.
My friend Brandon, and then our friends Bernardo and Nika, who lived in Seattle, went to college with them.
Yeah.
Currently live in Pittsburgh for grad school.
Okay.
So have you been to Pittsburgh?
Yes, I have.
Have you?
My previous relationship prior to Chad was from there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Love it.
It was a rough ending to that story. So, not the fondest memories.
They were saying great things about Pittsburgh. Yeah. So now we want to go to visit them at some point.
Nice.
But it was a lovely brunch. Nice catching up with them. Cool. Haven't seen them in about 6 months. They're also wedding planning. So just like
fun.
All of our friends are in the midst of wedding planning right now. Either like getting married soon, got married recently, or about to get engaged. Like everybody's in that season of life. So I got a haircut. I got groceries, did laundry.
Nice. How's the laundry saga going?
It's okay.
Have we tried to pay it out yet?
I have not tried.
We haven't done that. Okay.
I also realized, here's what I realized. I actually don't hate doing laundry. I don't love how time consuming it is.
Yeah.
But it is therapeutic for me.
Okay.
It's like, yeah, I think I'm going to save the money by not paying it out.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to embrace it as part of my week.
I will say, recently I have tried to get better about listening to some audiobooks.
Yeah.
Because what I found is when I have something to listen to, specifically an audiobook, I look for an excuse to do an activity while listening to it.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. So maybe I'll give you some good audiobook recommendations.
That'd be great. I have a ton of podcasts I'm listening to right now because I have I listen to Armchair Expert, which they put out 2 episodes a week that are like 2 hours each.
Okay.
I listen to The Daily almost every day, which is like a 20 to 30 minute podcast by the New York Times. I listen to our podcast once a week when we put it out.
Yeah.
I listen to a podcast about the shows that I watch. So there's a podcast called Oysters, Clams, and Cockles, which originated originally from Game of Thrones. But now they make podcasts about all like the popular shows that are coming out. So they have one about Severance, they have about White Lotus. So each episode I'm listening to a companion podcast for that.
Interesting.
So I have a lot of podcasts.
Okay.
And there's one other like comedy podcast let's do once a week. So it's a lot of audio.
A lot on your plate.
Yeah,
okay.
But same thing. I'll like sometimes like really just want to finish my episode I'm listening to. So I'll go on a walk or I'll do something just to be able to do that.
Right.
And laundry is one of those times when I do listen to my pods.
Yeah.
So,
nice. Okay.
I agree. I did a few hours of work stuff, catching up on emails and stuff yesterday.
Nice.
I watched the Oscars. Which we don't have cable, so I haven't been able to watch any of the award shows the last few years. But for some reason, Hulu right now Hulu yesterday showed the Oscars. Yeah. So, which was nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
How was it? Entertaining?
Yeah, entertaining.
Okay.
Yeah, it was Conan O'Brien was the host.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, I kind of like the award shows. Kind of fun to watch. The performances are great.
Right.
What's their names? Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo.
I saw a little clip this morning.
Amazing. Yeah, they're incredible.
Awesome.
So did that, and then watched White Lotus yesterday evening.
Yeah.
And
are you liking it? How's the season comparing to the first 2?
You know what? It's an interest. So the podcast I listened to about the show. Yeah. They're doing episodes about Severance and White Lotus at the same time.
Okay.
And it says what they said, which I agree with, is it's kind of hard to watch these 2 shows at the same time because Severance is so like every episode's like so mysterious and you're like trying to figure out what's going on and it's like it's a different type of show than White Lotus, which is kind of like more about the characters, and you're kind of just along for the ride.
Right.
Like that's what White Lotus is known for, is like really great character development from episode 1.
Right.
So it's a much slower plot.
Okay.
But it's the character work that they're doing up the episode is very
interesting.
So even like the 3 girls I mentioned, they're like on this show together or on this trip together, and you can just like each episode, so there's 3 of them. Each episode it shows 2 of them kind of gossiping about the third. And it's
funny.
Like a different duo each episode that are like kind of, and it's just kind of things that happen. Like I was with Cecily yesterday, and she's like, "This is so accurate to a group of 3 girls." Like she's like, obviously it's dramatified, but this is pretty spot on. And even yesterday, like it brought up like stuff in Russia, so it's very like kind of bringing some pop culture stuff, or not pop culture, but relevant today stuff. It talked about Trump in the episode last night.
Interesting.
So it's getting into like a lot of like the social dynamics that we see in society, which is very fun to watch.
It makes me think of my relationship with Shannon and Kelly, and how when I'm with one of them individually, we often talk about the other. Just kidding. We don't do that.
Only good things, all right. That was actually
just think this right now, like what?
That was funny. There's a one point when the 2 of them are talking about the other one, and the other one like walks up and like slams on the doors and the door, and they both like jump and freak out. And then she walks in, and they're like, "Oh, we were just talking about you," and like they spin it like they were saying such good things, but they were not. So
it is tricky. That 3 dynamic is hard. Growing up, my friend, the ones I mentioned from first grade, Rachel and Lisa, that was always kind of a hard thing. I've told Allie, like sometimes when there's that odd number of friends, it's hard not to feel like one person's excluded. It is.
And it's natural to talk about people. Like that's just part of our social experiment we're doing.
Totally.
But like it's just funny, like just the little subtle nuances of going from like, oh, she looks so good, she's looked blah blah blah, and then going from like the compliments to like the little bit of a subtle switch into like one of the girls is like trying to point the conversation in a certain direction, and like a little bit of a subtle comment about living in New York must be hard to be a parent, like it's just kind of like a little subtle dig, and then the other one picks up on that bait and like goes a little even a step further, and the conversation goes from like talking about them in a good way to totally talking crap about them in an instant.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah, it's interesting. So, that was my Sunday.
I love it.
Great weekend.
Good. Do we have a March challenge? Are we doing anything?
I do, yes. So basically for the month of March, I am starting my Ironman training.
Okay.
And my goal for this month is to complete the Ironman distances over the course of this month.
Okay. And can you remind us?
So for the next, is it 31 days in March? Yeah. So for the 31 days in March, my goal for the whole month is to complete a total of 2.4 miles of swimming, 112 miles of bike riding, and 26 miles of running. So that'll be split up into probably, I don't know, 5 or 6 swims, 5 bike rides, and maybe 5 runs.
Okay.
So, I want to complete an Ironman this month over the course of 31 days.
Love it.
Yeah.
It's a great goal.
Yeah.
Cool.
I haven't done any of it yet, though. We're on is today the 3rd?
Yeah, barely.
We're scratching the surface.
A lot of time to go. Yeah.
Thanks, Jamie.
Awesome. Have a good week.
Episode 56. Bye-bye.
Bye.